Please be seated.
Very well. I now turn to you, Mr. Mladić. Before you commence your evidence, Nemam prevod.
I'm not receiving interpretation.
Do you hear me now? Just if the usher could assist the witness hearing. Sad ima.
Now it's fine.
Now, do you hear me well?
Čujem vas.
I can hear you, Mr. Kwon.
I'll repeat. Before you commence your evidence, I must draw your attention to a certain rule of evidence that we have here at the tribunal. That is Rule 90E. As you may know well, under this rule, you may object to answering any question from Mr. Karadžić, the prosecutor, or even from the judges, if you believe that your answer might incriminate you in a criminal offense. In this context, incriminate means saying something that might amount to an admission of guilt for a criminal offense, or saying something that might provide evidence that you might have committed a criminal offense. However, should you think that your answer might incriminate you, and as a consequence, you refuse to answer the question, I must let you know that the tribunal has the power to compel you to answer the question. But in that situation, the tribunal would ensure that your testimony compelled under such circumstances would not be used in any case that might be laid against you for any offense, save and except the offense of giving false testimony. I take it that you understand that, Mr. Mladić.
Razumeo sam.
I understand, Comrade Kwon.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Karadžić, please proceed.
Dobro jutro, Excellencije.
Good morning, Excellencies. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, General Sir. Good morning. Question. General Sir, you wanted to say something to the chamber and the parties to the proceedings. I do not want to deprive you of that opportunity. Can I invite you to state what you wanted to say now as part of your testimony after you have given an oath? Mr. President.
I have a word with my colleagues as to whether to allow it. Please be seated for the moment. As you know well, Mr. Karadžić, this is not an examination in direct. Yes, this form of allowing the witness to speak at his liberty is not conducive to finding the truth, as we ruled in your mode of a testimony earlier on, will not allow you to ask the witness to read out his statement. Please proceed your examination in chief.
Hvala, sad sam dobio.
Thank you. I have now received a correction in interpretation, because first I was told that you would allow it, but now I hear you will not allow it. Very well, General Sir. I hope that you will have an opportunity to say what you wanted to say on cross-examination or in response to my questions. Can you tell us what were the positions you held during your military career in the briefest of terms? Answer. Mr. President, honorable judges, I'm 71. I held numerous positions throughout my career from 1965, when I became an officer, until I was arrested by this court. In response to your question, I can say that I believe that this court holds records with the exact dates of my various terms of service. I can say that in peacetime I served in Macedonia, in Skopje, in Kumanovo as battalion commander, as in Ohrid as regiment commander, in Štip as the commander of the 39th Infantry Brigade, and on 2 occasions I served at the command of the 3rd Army, or that's to say the 3rd Military District, in the Operations Department. There are records to that effect, and I can't recall reliably the dates. In response to your question, with all due respect, I would like to say the following. I cannot and do not wish to testify here because of my health. And I would like to state, upon the advice of my defense counsel, that I reserve my right not to testify, and I reject or I refuse to testify for the reasons that my health may be impaired and as a result of my rights. Mr. President, since Mr. Kwon refused to allow me to read this, I wish to say that I wrote my statement on 7 pages. I think it would be interesting. I don't know if the court will accept this or not, but I would like the opportunity to read this out aloud for the benefit of the audience, the general public, and you, and for the sake of the people. I am not defending myself. You're not defending yourself. We continue to defend our people.
Cutting you off. You are supposed to answer the question posed by Mr. Karadžić. Mr. Karadžić, please proceed with your next question.
Hvala.
Thank you. General, sir, did you ever inform me, either orally or in writing, that the prisoners from Srebrenica were being, or had been executed? Answer. Mr. President Radovan, I cannot and do not wish to testify for the reasons of my health, and upon the advice of my defense counsel, I wish to state that I reserve my right not to testify, and I refuse to testify because it may impair my health and because of my rights as an accused in my case. And I have touched upon the events that you are asking me about in this statement that I have written. However, Judge Kwon will not allow me to read it.
Here again. Mr. Lukic, I take it Mr. Mladić is invoking his right pursuant to Rule 90E.
Yes, Your Honor, you are right.
I will consult my colleagues.
To maybe cut things short, I'm sorry. He will do this after every single question.
exercising its discretion, the chamber has decided not to compel the witness to answer this question, despite the protection afforded by Rule 90E in light of his right against self-incrimination as an accused whose trial is pending before the tribunal. I ask the accused to proceed with his next question.
Hvala. Gospodine,
Thank you, General, sir. The two of us, did we ever come to an agreement or have an agreement or understanding that the citizens of Sarajevo would be subjected to terror by shelling and sniping, or sniping? Answer. Mr. President, I cannot and will not testify for the reasons of my health. Upon the advice of my defense counsel, I wish to state that I reserve my right not to testify and that I refuse to testify because it may impair my health and prejudice my rights as an accused in my own case. Thank you.
Mr. Mladić, do you intend to refuse to answer every questions that are supposed to be put by Mr. Karadžić?
Može, dobit će isti ovaj odgovor.
Yes, I will give the same answer to every question.
Mr. Karadžić, do you wish to put each and every question you suggested?
da, ekscelencije, ima.
Yes, Excellencies. There's 3 more questions.
For the same reason, the chamber would not compel the witness to answer this question. Mr. Karadžić, please proceed with your next question.
Hvala, gospodine general.
Thank you. General, sir, what were the reasons for the shelling or sniping by our army against Sarajevo? Answer. Mr. President, I cannot and do not wish to testify for the reasons of my health. Upon the advice of my defense counsel, I wish to state that I reserve my right not to testify and refuse to testify because it may impair my health and prejudice my rights as an accused in my own case.
For the same reason, the chamber will not compel the witness to answer the question. Yes, proceed, Mr. Karadžić.
Hvala, ekscelencijo. Peto pitanje.
Thank you, Excellencies. The 5th question in that case is moot, so there's only one more question left. General, sir, amongst the two of us, or the leadership in general, was there an agreement or an understanding to expel the Muslims and Croats residing in the Serb-controlled areas? Answer. Mr. President, I cannot and do not wish to testify for the reasons of my health. Upon the advice of my defense counsel, I wish to state that I reserve my right not to testify and that I refuse to testify because it may impair my health and prejudice my rights as an accused in my own case. If allowed, I may read out what I wrote down here. It may prove interesting. And I suggest that I read this out. It's only 7 pages. It's not much. And I kindly request the court to accommodate my request.
Mr. Karadžić, do you have further questions?
Please. No, Excellencies. I only wish to say that I don't know the contents of this statement, and despite all the risks, I wanted Mr. Mladić to be allowed to read this out. Of course, it is up to the chamber to rule on this matter. At this point, I have no further questions.
Yes, Mr. Robinson.
Yes, Mr. President, for the record, we would ask that the statement be received and marked for identification so that there can be some record of what General Mladić wished to say in the event that the issue of the Chamber's failure to compel him is raised at a later date.
I don't see a basis upon which the Chamber should receive his statement. Speaking for myself, I have no difficulty with the defense receiving his statement on their own and consider what to do with it later on. But I'm not minded to receive on the part of the chamber. Mr. Tiger, do you have any cross-examination?
No, Mr. President.
Very well, then that concludes your evidence, Mr. Mladić. Thank you for coming to the courtroom. You may be excused.
Hvala vam.
Thank you for preventing me from stating what I wanted to say. And you have confirmed my thesis that the Hague Tribunal is not a court of law, but a satanic court.
Mladić, my thanks also go to Mr. Lukic. And I take this opportunity to express the Chamber's thanks to the transportation team from the Dutch police for their hard work and for their dedicated cooperation.
Hvala lepo. Radovane, hvala. Izvini, molim. Ne daju dio. Ne daju. Brane, NATO i dio. I toga hake, i osiromašeni uradim.